that touch. Said, who am I? I bet you can't even tell me that much. 2:30 in the morning, and my gas tank will be empty soon. Neon sign on the horizon, rubbing elbows with the moon. A safe haven of sleepless, where the deep fryer's always on, and the radio is counting down the top 20 country songs. And out on the porch, the fly strip is waving like a flag in the wind. And you know I don't look forward to seeing you again. You look like a photograph I
Welcome.
taken from far, far away. I won't know what to do. I won't know what to say except fuck you and your untouchable face, and fuck you for existing in the first place. And who am I that I should be vying for your touch? Said, who am I? I bet you can't even tell me that much. I see you and I'm so perplexed.
So as
Was
we
I
come
thinking?
in
What will I think of
our
next?
ritual
Where can I
space,
hide?
as most of you
Background
know, you
there's a
can
lamp
take
that
some
hangs
time to
over the
put
pool
what
table,
you're
and
noticing in
the
your
fan is on its
body and
face.
physical or emotional sensation into the chat. We'll put a little list here that we love to share with everybody that I did not create, but this person Hillary created that has a lot of good words to name what we're noticing as we're learning the language of the body and the languages of the body, because there are many. And really, it's such a skill, right, to be able to get in touch with what it is we're noticing in the body and how tender that is in itself. Just noticing, just being in the noticing. Okay, welcome everyone. So who here is like feeling overwhelmed? Just like move your hands and your body around. Okay, overwhelm. Okay, whoa, oh wow. Okay, that's fun. Who here is feeling like really shut down and like disconnected and numb? Just kind of like move your hands or your fingers around or raise your hand. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, so there's more overwhelm than shut down, but also when we're in shutdown, sometimes we don't put our camera on and we don't let anybody know. That's kind of the point, right? When we're in our dorsal vagal and when we're in that space of like hopelessness and despair and it doesn't matter, that's definitely a place where we will tend to hide and isolate. So if you can hear this, that means that you're not doing that. So, for sure, celebrating that, because it is a big deal, right? Just to show up in a space of not knowing. And as we really honor this process of grief and rage as doorways, and as really every sensation, including numbness, as doorway to our aliveness, this work and this particular ritual that we're doing today especially isn't just about empowerment. It's really important that I say that, because there's something that happens in this room, even though we're here energetically, but that's the power of it too, is that we get to be here interrupting the systems that our lives kind of pull us into, some of which are beautiful and amazing and life affirming, our relationships, our families, our meaningful work in the world, and some of which are not, right? All the things that we can see happening in the world all the time, the polycrisis, the understanding that there are so many forces of evil at play in this world, and the ways that we carry those in our bodies is really what we're here for today. And in my experience, empowerment, even the word empowerment, really died. It died. It died. It died for me when I went through my dark goddess initiation about 10 years ago now, when I was 33. And it really became this path of aliveness, which meant that I wasn't the one in control. And it wasn't just because I was giving my power over to people and systems of fear and lack, but it was because there was something else I was contacting, this other force of immanence, this force of earthly synchronicity, this force of like deep unknowing that came in and really kind of shook the idea that empowerment was the end goal out of me, like quite literally, right? When our body is releasing stored energy, stuck energy, our body tremors. It tremors and it shakes. And it happens naturally. The body knows what to do to release the stuck energy that happened from experiences that either we or our ancestors have had that shouldn't have ever happened, right? So this aliveness and this principle of aliveness isn't and won't protect us from being activated, meaning getting triggered, feeling hopeless, feeling despair, feeling like none of our tools are working, feeling like, creatively stuck, relationally, like fucked, all the things, and not just in the good way, just like, wow, I'm never going to get this thing, in love because, I'm somehow unable, to really cultivate, what is needed to foster that. I've just experienced so many different things like that. And so I really value and honor, coming together in this way and taking an hour out of our day, to really let that energy that we are carrying on our own in itself breathe a little bit and connect to other humans energetically in this very, it's very safe in a way because we're not even together physically. So that brings up other things when we are, but there's something so powerful about allowing the energy of what we carry to be held in a wider context, in a communal awareness, and also very grounded and rooted and juicy aliveness, and come out of the binaries of good and bad, and come out of the binaries of pleasant and unpleasant, while also noticing them and letting there be room for it all, so we can actually create with that which we are experiencing, whether it be pleasure or pain in any given moment. I had a dream last night that there were like these alien grasshopper bugs that with very big eyes. Like I looked down and they were like coming out of my vagina and they were like crawling up my belly, and they were like sci-fi. Like I'm not into sci-fi in general. I'm like only into feelings primarily, as meaning like films I like and stuff like that. I mean, I think sci-fi obviously can evoke feeling as well, but it's not my thing. But anyway, it was like that. It was like these like robotic kind of creatures, and they were just like coming out of my vagina, and I was like looking at them. And as I'm talking about it now, and even when I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, whoa. And even when I was telling my partner my dream this morning, I was like, whoa. Like I just felt this like nausea, I felt this disgust. And I was like, oh, well, I am holding space for this workshop of shame today. So that makes sense, right? Like my body is just like, because disgust is connected to shame, right? And when we look at this path of the feminine, where we're kind of really approaching our liberation, not only from the perspective of ascension, but primarily looking at it as a descending experience, meaning we can have insights and we can open our intuitive awareness to the ways that the universe and the goddess is speaking to us all the time through our lives. And then we're digesting those experiences that are coming through, which oftentimes are unfiltered, so they're negative and unpleasant, and they're also positive and they're pleasant, and we're digesting them through the ways that we use our voice, the ways that our heart is being held in its brokenness, the ways that our solar plexus are allowing there to be some digestion as it goes down into our bellies and all the way down into our wombs, our pelvises, down into our vaginas down into the root of our body and all the way down through the energy of the earth in our legs that extends into the earth of this world that we can see, that is the goddess, not as a metaphor, but as a real thing that you can touch with your hands, like the ocean. You can see it, you can feel its wetness, you can feel its warmth or its coolness. The earth, right, as a stone, not just as something that's dead, like, but as something that carries the energy of cosmic and I can't think of the word. I mean, it's cosmic intelligence, but it's in this reality that we're sharing that is very physical, where we can get hurt and harmed, where we can and have experienced things that shouldn't have happened, that then resurface in the present moment for us to actually shake it off, right? And so, our intention with the practice today is some of which we carry, and some of which, especially that we experience in intimate relationships, is really not ours to carry. So if you're somebody who's paying attention, which I know probably most of you are, I can safely say, to, the evil and the destruction and the forces of, both colonialism and capitalism of all and patriarchy, that, there's this way that as fluid beings, we can start to relate to ourselves as that which we relate and identify as what, let me say it, redo. We relate, no, we identify as what we are relating to. So this is also in some systems called codependency. Anybody know about codependency? Give me a woo woo codependent. Yeah, woo. Okay, good. Okay, everyone's codependent. Good. So, this is a positive thing in my experience, even though it almost killed me one time. It's like, yeah, it's real. And it's the thing that, it's like, wow, I'm experiencing this. That is what I am. And the root of shame is actually, that's what the root of shame is. It's like we're in the womb. Something happens when we're in the womb, or we're infants, or we're young children. Something happens, or something is happening in a perpetual way. In the case for me, because my father was an addict, that is, something's happening that's like not okay. And sometimes it's not just not okay, it's abuse. It's something that's really not okay, right? But instead of being able to understand with our beautiful, very kind of open perception that we have when we are in the womb, when we are young, this isn't okay, we identify with what's happening in the environment as who we are. So a big part of understanding who we are today and being able to stand in that with a spine is understanding that what's happening around us isn't just what we are, even though when we go into this non-dual, tantric awareness, we're carrying that energy also within us. It is also who we are. So it's a paradox, but we can handle the paradox. I know it's heartbreaking, but most of you have been holding it for some time, so you could know now that you could do it. Okay, we could do it. We're doing it. There's not even a problem with it. It's like, here's the paradox. We're doing it. We're holding it. That isn't me. And also that is me. That isn't me. And also, wow, there's a lot of forgiveness in here that needs to happen in order for me to stand in the face of a system rooted in lack and rooted in abuse and rooted in fear, and understand that I need to forgive myself at the same time that I'm witnessing what isn't me, right? And so there's all these like kind of blah, blah. That's why spiritual teachings for me now are just like, where the lines get so blurred between like art and teachings and, the understanding of who we are at our essence, at our core, which is unconditional love, and the kind of love that transforms what it touches, that breaks down the barriers on that ultimate level. And at the same time, understanding that, there is a separation that's necessary in order for us to have intimacy, and in order for us to have the boundaries that we need within our own being to just carry confidence even when we're in contact with our wounding. That just because you're in contact with your wounding doesn't mean that you have to only experience insecurity, because that's what that system of fear and the systems that root success in this material way force us to kind of live inside. So then our insecurity is ever unfolding, and it's very difficult to do things when we're constantly feeling insecure. But the insecurity is also just like reality. The insecurity is like, well, I'm a really flawed person, so who am I to like stand inside, my confidence in a world that seems like nobody knows what the fuck's going on, right? And so it's really like, and we have to, in my, the invitation, we don't have to do anything, but I am very much inside of this reality of coming out of that matrix entirely and being able to see it and being able to feel myself whole, not like as the goal, but like my worth is not dependent on that. My worth is right there with the sun. My worth isn't dependent on what I have or what I don't. And the ways that my nervous system is hooked into that is where my work lives, right? So I'm going to pause because I'm saying a lot of things in my very, spiralic, way. Some of, which I'm sure you are following and some of which I'm sure you aren't, and that's fine. I'm going to have some rose spray. So, give yourself what you need in this moment. But I'm curious if you could just pause and see what you notice in your body now. And those of you that are here, that want to engage and feel good about engaging right now with each other, put it in the chat. Or what are you hearing in what I'm saying? What's coming and bubbling into your intuition? Because as soon as you sit in this container, in this coven, there's a natural intuition that you carry that's getting strengthened, because that's what I choose when I create something like this. So it's up to you whether you choose that. But if you do choose that, then your intuition can also be strengthened just by receiving the energy of this moment, by receiving the Shakti that's already here before we even do any practice or get regulated or go somewhere else that we're not already. Because once we get there, then it'll be better or whatever. Like, what if I died in the next minute? Would this place I am now be not enough? Do I have to wait till the next minute, till I have less energy in my chest that I've been taught is anxiety, because that means that there's something wrong with me? Or can I be with the pulsation of energy in my chest as something that's sacred? Can I be with the tension in my jaw as something that deserves a little more space, a sound to be witnessed, even if you don't fucking even know what I'm talking about? You have a heart, you have breath in your body, you're alive. So I want to hear a little bit before we move into our ritual. I think Amina is actually here. Amina was not going to be here, but are you here? Oh, you are. Do you want to share something, Amina? And then Alex Gonzalez is also going to share. But hey, Amina.
Thank you. I'm going through this moment of, I love that you brought up what if I died right now, because I've been going through this portal of where am I? Where am I? and and so in Islam we have this practice of like dying before you die, and like knowing that death is available at any moment, and even though we don't approach it in this morbid way, but it brings more life to this moment that I have right here right now. And like, what a blessing this moment is, what a blessing it is to like be connected with all of you. And the funny thing is I had a meeting with my boss today. I told you, my big boss. And I was like, I struggle with this, like the taboo, right, of our sensuality and sexuality, and I'm really asking for this feeling of integration. And so I said, okay, God, I pick you. I always pick you. I will always pick you. That's where my devotion goes. When that energy, when that anxiousness comes up, I give it
Yeah.
I give it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was available for this. And it was just this big
Mm.
like
Wow.
blessing. And like, you're doing a good job, babe. We love you.
Yes. Thank you so much,
Like,
Amina.
it's all okay.
Yes, yes, it's all okay. And I love that you're naming this thing of like so much of this work, especially when we talk about masturbation and we talk about bleeding, in the phases of life that we go through when we have when we menstruate. It's like all of the shame around that literally just comes from some fucking dickhead unconscious idea. So like, and then but I could say that and we could say that and be empowered, but the truth of actually getting that out of our bodies and is ultimately it comes down to a choice, like what you're saying. I mean, it's like, am I serving God as love? Am I serving God as fear and lack and scarcity? In any given moment, is my nervous system serving that? Is it serving God as love, as unconditional love, as a force of infinite generosity? Or am I serving this fear and this lack and this? And it's like, it's so simple in a way, but to actually be on that path and like for you to be able to say that with such a transmission of joy and liberation didn't just happen, you know, like without many tears, without a lot of heartbreak, right? So I love that so much. And I put the Rabia poem that has a piece of that, die before you die, said the Prophet Muhammad in that poem. I don't know where this translation is from, so you can tell me if it's, um, anyways, not good. I don't have the original, but it's such a powerful poem. So thank you for sharing that so much, Amina. And I'm so glad that you could drop in because, Amina and I were sharing, and I was like, oh, I'd love, for you to come in and share some because Amina is one of our womb healers and many other things as well, and teachers. And and then it was like, oh, and then this morning you texted me, you were like, I can't. And so I was like, okay, no problem, and now here you are. So it's a miracle, and sometimes that's what we're doing. We're like waiting for the miracle, it's like Amina says that and you feel that and you know that truth. And maybe that becomes your perception in this moment. And maybe you feel that and you know that truth and you feel far from that perception in this moment. It's only going to be one or the other, but both are welcome, right? Because both are how we support one another and going up and down at different times, right? We're not meant to all be up all the time, right? Sometimes we go down and others are up, and we can, dance with each other. My teacher and mentor and friend Heidi Rose Robbins always says that, we're in a circle, as we dismantle these hierarchical ways of educating ourselves and one another, and also holding space for receiving more deeply. And that receptivity itself and the actions themselves that we take in our lives do naturally dismantle the shame. So we can do ritual mostly because it's fucking fun, also, for the record. Like, this is what I want to be doing right now. That's why I'm here. But the energetics and the somatics and all that, like, they do change how we perceive ourselves in the world, because how we perceive ourselves in the world is rooted in our nervous system. And so working with our nervous system and our physiology does change that. And so does making that choice that Amin is talking about when that's available. Like, that heals shame. You know what I mean? It's like the healing is interwoven in our day to day, right? And the shame gets perpetuated when we make that other choice that we know is like, we're going to perpetuate the shame, but we can't help it yet. And then the shame gets healed when we bring that, what we did that we know wasn't the thing that was going to support us in our liberation and love, to a space that can hold it without judgment, because we all go through those layers sometimes. I know I do. There's no kind of linear process. Sometimes I'm asked to cycle all the way back down into some pit of fucking hell, and like my own patriarchy that is deeply unhealed, that I've also experienced after years of feeling very free, that then asked me to hit another pocket of trauma, that was quite gnarly. But then we have the resources that we need to move through it more freely, and that's part of what we're doing here. So I also wanted to welcome in everyone that's here. That's, we have a lot of people in this space that are teachers, and specifically body temple dance teachers and womb healers. And, I'm so grateful, and such a beautiful support team. Savannah's here and B is here. And it's like, we really do get to enjoy one another in this community in a way that is solely probably because of my 0 degrees Aquarius rising. Meaning, like, that's why we're here. It's not because I have like whatever, anything more than anybody else in terms of medicine in this space, although I definitely have my own, and it's not and it's unlike everyone else's, just like yours. But there is just a natural draw for me to pull people together into the group and to be like, let's go everybody, and then to be like, like Aquarius also is like, I'm the lone wolf, nobody understands my experience, and we have this like really powerful eclipse tomorrow. And when I had this impulse last week and was just like, we need to do a class on just holding ritual space for releasing shame around menstruation and masturbation, because as we dive deeper into our womb healing work that includes energy, spiritual, energetics, as well as breath, but also the physical aspects, like really teaching people with vulvas and women how to be in consent with their own bodies and give themselves the pleasure and the healing they seek. So then that is actually what you just start experiencing in your relationships in your life. Holding space for that, I can, it's just, especially with the work that we do that was passed to me by Deborah Sandal and my other teacher, Alessandra Belloni, who does a lot of, drumming and shamanism from Southern Italy and the Mediterranean around womb healing. We encounter these different gates of shame, of guilt, of grief, of fear, of pain. Like we experience this and we're like holding it in our vagina, which is just like, what? Like, why? And I can't tell you how many times it's like, oh, right. Like I was conditioned to believe that masturbating meant I was evil or wrong. Or even just the idea that like the devil is bad, as opposed to just like some, subconscious, unconscious energy that literally every human being has. Right. So it's so insane to me that we still have to talk about this, actually. You know what I mean? And I would much prefer to be like talking about something else. But I think when we talk about something and we name it, it automatically sets a boundary. So I don't mind talking about it, actually. But, I'm also like, are we still talking about the church and like the patriarchy? What's going on? But then we look outside and then you look at, Palestine and you're like, yeah, we are still talking about it. Cause like, what the fuck? And so here we are. So, we invited Alex Gonzalez also to come in and just share. Alex is another incredible healer and teacher and activist and like person that I really see like fully understands and lives in the reality of a non-hierarchical transmission when it comes to healing and community and activism. And, it's just such a joy and pleasure. So I also spontaneously in my neurodivergent way was like, do you want to share, guide us and move into this ritual? And Alex, I'll give it over to you to share whatever you want. And then I have, that an initial song to like set everybody into this space in the ritual way. And then you can, the one after that is the one that you sent. So then it'll go into that. But does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to get some water. And please share in the chat, everyone. Like, what are you hearing? What's confusing? Like, I love when people are confused. I love when people are like, I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. Like, why do I have to do more work? Right? Because that's the point is like, do you have to do more work? Like, do you have to heal something, or do you get to just be like, no, thank you. I'm good. Like, I'm good with that. Like that sometimes is the reality. And sometimes there is some digging to do. Right. So we might as well like get a cute shovel, you know what I mean? And get like a cute group of bitches around us to be like, let me shovel a little bit for you. You know what I mean? That's basically, what we're doing here. We have shovels, we have knives, we have brooms, we have everything you need.
Okay. You saying that just made me be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't say anything about what I was gonna say. Oh no, it's all good. So Adriana asked me to share some links for some people who are in Palestine and need our mutual aid. And it made me, I was like, I don't want to share a link. I want you guys to find a link, but I do have links. But it made me think like how it just made me think of the personal connections we can make with things that are outside of ourselves. And I wanted to share one of the Palestinian men that I've been helping, his name is Abdullah, and he writes these paragraphs sometimes about what he's experiencing. And not just this time, but I'm going to read what he wrote. I'm like, he could be a writer in this group. He could be part of Body Temple Dance. Like, he could have been in here with us. And I just want to read what he wrote and kind of give space for an experience he's not able to have right now, to not be in this group or to be online with us or to share his art and his words. So I want to read it. Honestly, I reached a point where I asked myself, who am I? What happened to me? What did I go through? And many other questions that one truly can't find answers to. It's as if they were in a maze trying to save themselves. I struggle with my mind just to get back to normal, or my dear to try to forget or move on from what happened. Sometimes one refuses to forget. I don't know why. One feels like he's flogging himself when he tries to think, or when he tries to learn, or when he tries to focus on his work, as if he must accept reality, accept the destruction, and that he must accept that anything he does will be destined for failure. But that's not how we are, and we don't know how to be. One's ambitions reach the stars in the sky. Before the genocide, he had the ability to reach the stars in the sky. After everything that happened, he is still determined to continue despite everything. There is just a thorn in his throat that he tries to remove, even though it causes pain and makes him bleed. Sometimes he tries to adapt to this thorn. Life is beautiful, and I'm missing it. And I was just like, he could have been here writing that with us in any of these prompts that we've ever done. And I think about, how can I truly have impact? How can I truly help anyone? And I keep asking these questions. Does this feel like liberation? Is where I'm at now feel like liberation? And what am I doing now? Is this liberation? Is this liberation? And it makes me think of this video you might have seen from Toni Morrison, where she talks about how we get to be a whole person. And she says, one way you get to be a whole person is you stop thinking about your little self. And this is why I kind of was like, oh, this is like, I'm not like, this kind of doesn't give you permission to like kind of sit back with like kind of like tough love to me. But it really worked for me. It really hit me listening to this, and I play it often. But she says, one way you get to be a whole person is you stop thinking about your little self. And then you start doing something serious for something else, for someone else, and you're doing it for their benefit. And you might make mistakes, no one's flawless, but it's you doing it. It's you picking up what was broken and putting it back together. You may not even be happy after you do it. And you get to get nothing. So one of the ways in my experience that we can realize and we can transform shame is through devotion, through this work that we do, and how we weave liberation into it, because this is liberation work. This is why I know this work is important, and it works because of my lived experience, because of my direct experience, the power it has given to me to use my voice, to choose someone else every day, to choose devotion every day, is because devotion is something that's greater, it's something that's bigger, something outside of your little self. And the work and the work that we came here to do and the medicine that we have, that you all have. And we are a great resource for each other. You are a great resource for each other, for everyone else. Your gifts are a great resource. And we need them, like we need them desperately. If you can't, I don't want to say like push through it, but if you're having trouble expressing your gifts or using your medicine in a way that you want to, just like we gotta look past the little self, and we have to do it for something bigger and greater outside of ourselves. And I think that you all know that, you know, but I just love reminders. So that's I want us to put community on our altars. I want us to put each other on our altars. And I really, I was talking to Adriana, I would like us to make a resource list. We have so many gifts, we have so much experience that we could be sharing with each other and outside of these systems of oppression. And like, I just think that's one of the ways that we can help each other and fight together. So I really want to make a list for all of us, because this is a community. This is a huge community. And you can do it in your communities, in IRL, in real life, in the flesh, as someone said the other day. And like anything you know how to do that you want to share with other people, and we can break it down by states, and like if you only do virtual or like whatever is accessible. And I think the best way would be to do it through the Mighty Networks, and then I can compile a list and we can just have that for each other. So that's what I wanted to share. And I will share Abdullah's link, direct mutual aid to families. And of course, if you have another family you are already connected to, you know, and we can add that in there too.
So valuable. Thank you so much, Alex. And, you know, I think people, especially in our community here, can also, you know, I mean, Alex is also always available to be of service in the healing work that she does, and we'll share about that as well. But people can also email you, maybe, you know, like we could just kind of like, however you could get what, you know, your information and what you have to offer right now and what's important to you, what your gift is, you know, whatever it is you're doing. Some people in here are artists and doing performances, you know, that we want others to know about. Some of you are, you know, do, you know, voice liberatory work. Some of you, you know, there's so much, like Alex said. So we want to, you know, start compiling that and have it somewhere that we can just send out, you know, in our membership, you know, regularly. And also for those of you not in the membership, you can get in there today, and B will put in the information for that, and you get half off. So it's like $44. And we have a Yoni mapping class tomorrow where we'll dive, you know, really deep into the sexuality work and the consent-based work, and really going into it. Because a lot of the work that I was trained to do, just like when you have your bleed, your cycle, your moon, it's a way of releasing, right? And our bodies do that for the periods of time they do in our lives very naturally. And then I believe it's still happening energetically when we enter into different phases of life, and, you know, menopause and all the beautiful life that comes after. But there's a way that when we get in contact with our own bodies, you know, through the practices we share, there's a way that you can naturally release at any time, you know. And obviously masturbation, self-pleasuring, is a way that happens, but we don't always go for that. You know, we also build energy. Sometimes we're really depleted and we don't need to actually release more. We need to like build some energy, some chi, right? We get exhausted from being hooked into those systems. So actually giving back to our bodies, especially when we're approaching our own healing as our own self-healers, in the way Alex is talking about, which is like, there's some part of you that actually just only has more to give, right? And there's some part of us that we will only ever contact that part from going beyond in those moments when we feel like we have nothing left to give. And, you know, that's a tricky thing to say, you know, especially for me in this, you know, it's nuanced and it's complex, but I really do know that to be true from my own experience. And, you know, when we're really deeply rooted in what our gift is, even though it's going to continually change and take on different forms. That is the thing that liberates us, to be able to speak and be able to, hold that, kali, right? The tongue coming out as the freedom of expression, like the pure truth, that will cut through, all of these energies that we're here to, really stand against and push against, and find ourselves more free in the push, in the fight, not just fighting, for the sake of fighting, but, wrestling, the ways that we do with our own shadows, as a way of emerging and allowing our radiant soul to reveal itself. Because that's a force of protection, right? That no unconscious, even, the most unconscious forces that can harm, my physical body, right? Like I said, if I were to die, my soul cannot be harmed. My purpose cannot be harmed. My purpose is my soul. So even when I leave this physical body, something in me goes on, and contacting that, right? And contacting that again and again, even in this moment. If I'm like, I'm not doing anything right now, I'm just like, it's like pulling things together, to allow you to feel the truth that's within your own body, right? And so, I'm going off on a separate tangent, but what Alex just shared, I also just feel like it's so full of juice and life, and like, yes, like this is how you receiving, somebody's truth, like Alex in this moment, does naturally, from my perspective, if you're a sensitive being, which we are, right, it does move us into a greater capacity. And that's what it means to come out of that system that says, oh, when we're together, when we're doing this, oh, like you're constantly doing for others, so you're just exhausted, right? And it's like, well, what if when we were giving it, it fueled us? What if our exhaustion was an indication that we were fucking onto something great, right? Like what if not knowing, and what if being in the underworld again for the 900th time, meant that we were, like releasing something that needs to be released, while also generating something alive, and something more alive than what we knew yesterday or 10 years ago, right? And that's the gift of being in community. So I'm so grateful for you to kind of bring that in, because I can't do everything, also obviously, but it's like all the time I'm like, and I literally will be like, I'll talk to one person, be like, oh, I'm in Portland. I'm like, oh, this person's in Portland. And I like send them both a message on Instagram. And it's like, but how much, like, I can't do that all the time, but I want like people, that's the greatest thing people get out of this work, truly, is the community, and is that sense of liberation and love that lives within us, and the ways that we are meant to create with that, right? So let's do that, right? Let's do that all together now. As you're sharing in the chat, I love that. And you could even maybe send Alex, if you have something that you're doing and you wanted to send it to her now, she could easily copy and paste it into a note or a document telling you what to do, in this moment. And also, if you choose not to, then we'll deal with it later. Okay, so let's get into your shame, right? That's the thing, though. That's why I just want to come and I just want to shoot the shit, and then we're gonna dance, and then, because it's like, it's not your shame, it's just like, it's literally not. If at the very least it's ours, at the very least it's ours, and I don't even think it's ours. I think it's like all these fucking bullshit systems and abuse that we've inherited or directly experienced that should have never happened. So fuck that. And right, at the very least, it's not your shame, it's ours. So we get to create with it, right? If that's what's here, we get to create with it. If fear is here, we get to create with it. If anxiety is here, we get to create with it. And create with it sometimes means returning more deeply back to the soul. And in other moments, it means, wow, I need to go connect with another person. Oftentimes, right? Connecting, it's not like waiting, right, to get to a different place to receive love. It's just the action of being of service, of allowing someone else the pleasure of knowing you, right? And so I want to do a little writing before we move our bodies. And I'm going to read this powerful piece about blood. On our last retreat, we did some poems channeled from our blood, and then we read it to each other, and people got to lie around and like get pets, and it was so powerful and beautiful and simple, right? And that's the thing about this, is that it's so simple. If and the healing, the healing and what's possible in terms of our pelvic health, in terms of pain, in terms of, so many things, that really gets perpetuated from the suppression of things like anger, and the suppression of things like grief, right? Because we weren't taught how to relate to it. We were taught only how to fear it, most of us, if not all. And so these are also the things that affect our physical bodies. And so that's also part of why we're here, to move that energy and to give it a different purpose, than to kind of, perpetuate these cycles. So, when you feel into your own, like, breathe into your own body and breathe into your own purpose and your own, like, and purpose not just being like, I have this grand thing and I'm going to do it. And like, but just like the breath and the ways you're relating to the people in your life and the thing that does scare you that is yours to do. Like, I'm always looking for the next thing that feels like, I don't know, because that I know is where there's going to be some new sense of failure. And a sense of failure is always, in my experience, where I find God. And my main purpose is to be in relationship to God as love, as I understand her. And if I'm not failing ever, it's harder for me. So I'm not saying I like to fail. I'm not saying that I'm good at it. Well, maybe I am good at it actually, but but that there's like a sense of like, wow, maybe this isn't so terrible. Maybe this is actually the thing I fucking needed, to realize that the miracle isn't going to come when I get the thing. The miracle is here right now, reminding me to call that person and ask for help, or make myself available to be of service, right? It's always a yes and a both and. So I want you to take a pen, or you could use your typing fingers, and open up a document or grab a piece of paper. And as I read this, I want you to just either, let whatever words stick out in your body, like whatever you feel impact you, if any, which I'm sure something here will, write the word down, or just write the first letter of the word. Like, it doesn't have to be perfect, but just to like stay with this transmission of this poem as a way of, it's like as a practice, not just like, oh, I listened or I didn't listen, or it's easy or it's hard for me to listen, right? Because like the depths ask us to like carry a deeper presence, right? Freeze and shutdown can only ever be relieved through presence, right? When someone's experiencing a trauma, a traumatic event, our presence is the only thing that's needed. When someone's in active grief, our presence is the only thing that's needed. And everything that bubbles up that wants to fix or change the situation, even if it's natural and good, is not necessarily going to help as much as our presence, right? So use this as a practice in presence. And it's a poem by Kristen Lore-Weber, who I oftentimes read from this book when we do blood rituals. And I'm not gonna, like I said, if you want to know more about like literal blood rituals, we're gonna do it, in the energetics in this session today. But to learn literal about sex magic, blood rituals, like all these things that we do, you could come into the membership, and that's what we have, our workshop every month. I've been leading, the Yoni Oracle workshop monthly for almost 4 years, so it's like a really, it's a strong thread, and we oftentimes call it the shameless goddess work. And there's a lot of people in this room that have done the training, that you can also receive healing sessions from. So just know that. Okay. The woman speaks. Mother of mysteries, I am the age that Mary must have been when Jesus died. I've seen death. I feel how thin that membrane is that wraps our souls in flesh. I've heard the whisper when it tears, life so delicate, so transparent. I could see right through it if I opened wide my eyes. Nothing can be held so well, it will be safe. When Menses stops, time's circle doesn't close. An unfamiliar waiting, not for birth, begins. The circle is larger than I thought. It is not the circle of the moon now, monthly changing shadow to light. Instead, it is the universe, a fireball where shadow and light combine, and I can see neither the beginning nor the end, for they are the same. I've had the end of safety. I am dying. What is being born? I've had the end of safety. I am dying. What is being born? So you can just let that flow right into the beginning here of our ritual, which already began, but the next part of the beginning. And just let yourself answer that question right now without judging the response. Maybe just scribble wants to come through, but maybe words like, what is being born? What is being born? And just let yourself channel just for a minute, just what wants to come through.
This a crucible, endless ritual, circled by fire, not asking to be saved. And in your crucible, all is touchable, burn away, only you remaining. This a crucible, endless ritual, circled by fire, not asking to be saved. And in your crucible, all is touchable, burn away, only you
So you can kind of just wrap up whatever you're writing and let it just end for now. And whether you're sitting or laying down, just feeling into your body, just feel what's underneath you or behind you. And using our image channel, using our imagination, you can have your eyes partially closed or all the way closed. I'm going to say a word, and I want you to, the first place that it pops up in your body, I want you to place your hands on there if it feels good. So we're talking about shame. And where in the body did that word activate a sensation or a feeling? And we're all powerful manifestors here, artists, creators. And if you could give that feeling, that sensation, a shape, if you could give it a density, a texture, a silhouette, and start to pull it out of your body as if you were like pulling clay or yarn or whatever density or texture you gave it. You could even use your hands at like how you would create this shape, this silhouette, and I want you to give a manifestation of what your shame might look like. And if it feels good to stand up and create it, you can start to stand up. Or you can do this all in your imagination. And again, you can use your hands as if you were an orchestrator of this creation you're making. You can move your feet, you can sway, you don't have to stay still. You can look around the room if that feels good. Just keeping connection to that creation. And notice if it also wants to move with you, if it's mirroring your movements or if it's doing something completely different from you. Is it even looking at you? Is it trying to talk to you? Is it trying to say something to you? Are there any words? Are there sounds? I just want you to, if you can, if it feels good, keep this manifestation with you while we do the rest of the body temple dance. See if any layers want to come off, anything wants to be revealed.
I feel this like sliding and slipping out of something, you know. In my body, I feel like this density. I felt it like at my root, you know, like the pelvic diaphragm all the way back towards my anus, and then I felt it in my sacrum and my hips and my thighs, and this kind of sliding off and allowing the shame, right, to be something that is offered at the altar. So as you continue with that imagery and start bringing it into some physical movement, you can also do everything in body temple dance in the image, so in your imagination. Just letting yourself move a little slower. Just find a stretch, like from the inside, like from your belly, like down through your legs, like bend your knees, and up through your arms, like and do a fake yawn a few times. Taking a deep breath and just like you're pushing something. Body to create. But working with the weight, working with the poem that has yet to be written, or the song that has yet to be sung, or the truth that has yet to be said. And all the rage and the grief that's buried below the fear. We're going to take our time creating the right environment to relate to it, but it might have arisen in an any given moment. It's welcome. But just walk around your space, and I want you to notice as you're walking and feeling this shape in the body, the shape of shame, and letting there be a slow unfolding in and out of it. Notice where the computer is, or the phone that you're connecting to us is, and notice if you want to be closer or if you want to be further away from the group right now. And you just want to notice it and follow your impulse if you want to be closer or further away from the group, and trust what this choice that you're going to make to set this boundary. And you could change your mind at any time. If you don't have a candle in your room that's lit already, you can light a candle and take this time to just clear the energy of the space, opening a window, and just loosening your joints down by feeling your feet on the ground, imagining like there were little suction cups on your feet. And as you moved through your space, you can really sink down into the mud of earth as you bend your knees and feel your ankles and your feet connecting to the heartbeat of the earth below. And what does it mean to just slow down? Oh, what is it like for your body to slow down? What does it bubble up? Does it feel pleasant? Does it feel unpleasant? Does it feel neutral? And just slowing down, even if it's hard. And then let your eyes orient back to the screen. And we're going to do a little mirroring. And you can just mirror my movements for a moment. Take a deep breath into your belly. So if it feels like you can't move or you don't want to for some reason, then either close your eyes or let your eyes rest on something natural in your space and just imagine yourself doing this, because everybody's in a very vulnerable position while they're doing this. And so you can just imagine, no pressure. Just let yourself move away from the screen. Turn and face a different direction. And just use the snapping of your fingers. Just feel what isn't yours. Feel the ways that you've inherited unprocessed trauma, shame. And just let it burn in the cauldron, in the fire of this moment. Just take a couple more snaps, facing a different direction. And just grab a pillow. You're gonna hold the pillow to your chest or your belly. If you don't have a pillow, you can hold a blanket, just something where you can feel. You know, shame is really connected to collapse in the nervous system. And, you know, collapse is really rooted to deep, like very young malnourishment, whether it was physical, emotional, right? So let your body just kind of collapse into what it is you're holding. What does it feel like to just push into it and fold over and stand back up? Really feel the sensation of chest and belly and front of your pelvis or womb, uterus against, and even your throat and your upper chest. Just preparing. Lower than maybe you want to. Just preparing yourself. Just breathe and say out loud, I can move. Even if you're not moving physically, just wiggle your toes if you can. And breathe and just say, I can move. I can move. And just start to kind of bounce around through your space in a way that doesn't really make sense. Like forward and side and back, side and forward and back. And just make some decisions that don't make sense in terms of how you're moving. And maybe you've been feeling like you can't get up yet, and you've already decided you don't want to get up. And maybe you want to make a different decision. Maybe you actually want to see like, wow, I've been lying down for so long. I wonder what would happen if I stood up. And maybe you're like, wow, I'm always fucking standing up. What would it be like if I just lie down? Just do something different. Do something that goes against what you think you need for a moment. And obviously we don't hurt ourselves or anyone else in these spaces, but just like what is different? What do you normally do? Do the opposite. Even if it's a movement. And just feel that support in your belly and chest. You can just move your hands over your head. And if you have hair, you can just move your hands over your hair and just like get anything, those tendrils, other people's ideas, like, about you, just like from your prefrontal cortex, just like, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Okay. And you can let your body bounce a little bit. And you're gonna notice as you let your body start to bounce, if you want to drop the pillow somewhere nearby so you can yell into it later. But you can yell into it at any time. But you're gonna let yourself do your habitual responses. You're like, oh, I always do this. I always disassociate. Oh, I'm just somebody that has anxiety. Oh, I'm just always like, I'm bad, right? Like we said, shame is like, it didn't understand. It couldn't understand that what was happening was bad, or what's happening is bad. It says, I am bad. So just be bad. Just be like, wow, and now I have these responses that really aren't that helpful in relationship and when sharing my gifts. But you know what? They help me survive. So let's just honor the ways that whatever it is that stops you in your life today actually helps you to be still breathing right now. And you can move how you want, but bring a bounce into your pelvis. Bring a wiggle and a shake down into your ass. I wanna leave my body. And just like, don't be in your body. Like, why do you have to be in your body all the time? Is that the goal? Are you gonna be in your body forever? This body? Probably not. I don't think anybody makes it out of this in their body. Yeah, like, wow, I could stomp into my heels and I could let my mind just go wherever it wants. My mind could just go wherever it wants. It could worry, it could pray.
What's the matter with your life? Why you gotta mess with mine? Don't keep sweating what I do, 'cause I'm gonna be just
and we're gonna really bring it down into the hips. This last one, and just be bad for a second. And just like bring it down. You could bend your knees, and so this is a stance that's really good for building fluid. which all people with vaginas can build fluid. It's not something some people have, because all people with vaginas can G-spot orgasm, can goddess spot orgasm. But you can also build ejaculate. And so this is a good posture for that. Just feel a little stretch here. Take a couple breaths. Push into your heels. Stick your butt, sit bones back. Take a sound that softens your jaw. When you have an internal orgasm, it releases your throat chakra. They actually are so connected, and when you do practice, you can start to feel that when you're having an internal orgasm, that something's also happening in the throat. It's very connected, not just in our minds, not just because I say so. It's something you can experience if you want, and it's a really healing, powerful way of using our self-pleasure practice and working with our self-pleasure to heal our own bodies. Okay, and then you can straighten your legs, shake out one leg. Flutter your lips. And then you can just come and stand, have your hands on your hips. Bend your knees a little bit and just stick your booty way back. You put your hands on your knees for balance. And just feel your feet on the ground. And just tuck your pelvis and then arch your lower back and spine. Do that a few times, tucking.
Okay, Miss Thing never giving up skins. If you don't like him or his friends, what about that band? Pep's got an ill rap with all that macaroni trap for rap. You better step, or better yet, get your head checked. Cause I refuse to be like I've been in.
Just bring a little sound somewhere where it feels natural. Feel any disgust. That's not actually yours. The fear is not yours. You can just sway your hips in a circle, coming up to stand and facing a different direction. Just let your hips take up space for a moment. You can move however you want, but let your sacrum and even your pubic bone be the guide. The tailbone.
The moral of this story is, who are you to judge? There's only one true judge, and that's God. So chill and let my father do his job.
And just let your booty take up space. Okay, and then for the last kind of healthy activation, healthy aggression we call it in the somatic world, you can grab your pillow again, come onto the floor, take any support you need for your knees, for your body. If you have an altar, you can bow in front of your altar with all and everything in your body. And you're gonna start just feeling your body close to the ground. And you could mirror any movements that I do, but use your muscles, or imagine using your muscles. Like bend your elbows and push yourself up. Like feel how hard you've been working, like so hard to love. Bitch. So like you don't have to work hard, but like just feel the way you do. It's something everybody does. And start leaning into your pillow with your mouth or your throat and either imagining or making a sound that's low, like and letting your booty and your hips move however they want. And then taking a breath. I'm telling you what to do. It's an invitation, but feel like, what does your body want to do to release the shame that isn't yours? Like, does it want to bite? Does it want to grip the ground? Do your toes want to grip and scrunch up? Do you want to hump the floor? Most of us began masturbating, humping whatever the fuck, my water bed, the pillow, that fucking pen that I use. that was like a vibrating pen. I don't know why it was vibrating, but it was. So just like, the animal body. It's not the only thing we have, but it's important to know it. No! And you can even just say no. No. Push yourself and really feel your arms pushing. It's important for this exercise. Push. And maybe there's pleasure. Maybe your anger feels actually really good. Maybe you're like, wow, I love feeling angry. You know, like I love feeling angry. Rage is such a turn on in my body now because I've trained it to be that way. I've stopped shaming the body and I started training the rage that I had suppressed to be something that turns me on, that helps me take action, right? So we're going to kind of slow down a little bit now as we come into our last phase, just surrendering everything to spirit, your understanding of the divine. Maybe you want to crawl around, or maybe you want to lie on your back and roll around on the floor. But just follow the impulse to move, especially bending and straightening in your elbows and your knees. Just be like a dramatic cloud, like, oh, the cloud just won't ever stay in the same shape. It's just like, oh God, now I'm gonna be this. Now I'm gonna be this. You can't ever define me. Stop trying. I'm a cloud. The ocean, the water, the earth, the mud, the fire in your belly. Let the elements fuck the air. Just like, fuck the earth below your body. Fuck the cosmos. Just act it out. Just pretend like that's what's happening. Like, and maybe you're just like, oh, I'm so tired. You just want to clap. What if you feel all the ways you've been working for love, to know your worth, to own your gift, and just let it stop. Just like stop working. In your body, stop working, but let the energy flow. You don't have to work anymore. You've worked hard enough. Receive the blessings for these last few minutes. And just notice if you want to hold your own arms with your hands or hug your knees in. Take a twist. Or just totally collapse. Letting your body practice dying back to the earth, back to the cosmos. What is birthing? Even if you don't know in your mind, just let it birth through you. Let yourself open to that which you're desiring, even if you don't know what it is yet. What is desire? What is desire without our conditioning? Who fucking knows? Your body knows. Make room for it to receive that desire. It was beyond conditioning, beyond what you've been taught. It's ancient, it's holy, it's sacred, it's blood, it's breath, it's air, it's water, plants, drum, rhythm. You can take your hands on your head, front of your head, then around to the back of your head. And just say, this is my space. This is my space. I am alive. I am alive. Even when I'm heartbroken, especially When I feel hopeless, I am alive. At the feet of the mystery is where I awaken. Maybe there's a song. Maybe you want to sing, I am alive. I am alive. Just feel your own being and allow all the unhelpful energies, ancestors, and systems that are not here to support your soul, being of service, to just leave your field. Snap your fingers. You don't need hypnosis. You are hypnosis. Hypnosis is over. This spirit want you to know, ask her before we get up, or if you're already sitting up, just like sink in. What do you want me to know about my next step? You feel spirit entering the body through your mouth, through your nose, through your ears, through your eyes, your throat, and your breath, and your chest, and your belly, and your navel, your sacred womb, vaginal opening, your anus, your sacrum, backs of your knees, the soles of your feet, your inner elbows, your palms. Just let the embodiment practice find its completion for now, whatever way feels authentic to you. What does the shape of surrender look like in your body? And just take a moment in the silence and the solitude as you drink water, as you keep relating to the divine in your own unique way, even with your eyes open, maybe even more with your eyes open. Maybe the separation no longer exists just because you opened your eyes. And just write down anything in your journal and your notes that feel relevant to this practice. If anyone has to go right at 11:30, that's still here. Just know that it's really good aftercare to drink a lot of water. Bless your body, anoint your body with some kind of rose if you can. Find some rose tea at the least, or just spend some time with a rose bush if you're somewhere where they're blooming. Rose water, rose quartz. Rose is the medicine of our time in the both fierce and tender wisdom that we carry in this lineage of lovers, of which you are very much a part. And really call on those forces of protection and fierce guidance, especially when things get really heavy, right? And, we are continually holding space, in these ways, not just me, obviously. So just know that you don't have to be alone. You can definitely bring your experience into a space and have it be held. And there's lots of ways we can do that, some of which we've already shared. Tomorrow we have our Yoni Oracle class where we'll teach some consent practices and ways of working with self-pleasuring, to really work with places that are numb, especially internal places in the body, in the womb that are numb, connecting to other parts that feel alive or activated, and how to actually do somatic practices to kind of bring that energy of aliveness and healing to parts that have been really shut down and understandably, disconnected from. Because there's a way that we want to approach the body the way we do a temple that most of us were not taught, we're not trained. Even those of us that are taught and trained, it's a continual practice and unraveling and deconditioning and decolonizing of these, systems that force us into too much, too fast, too soon, or too slow, not enough, right? This is what trauma is in the system. So coming out of that's a big deal. And I think I'm going to, kind of leave it here. If you want to join us in person in June, we're doing our God wedding where everybody does their own unique vows with the divine on actually a rose quartz mountain, with our friend Tammy Chow, who's a part of our community, a somatic healer. And that's going to be in Taos, New Mexico in June. So I wanted to name that as well in this space. I have my Black Madonna drum here that I feel like wants to have a moment, as we close our ritual today. I have a few words, and then I can stick around for about 15, maybe 10, before we go if people have questions. But I wanted to just share these last words to close a ritual. And just notice what came up for you. And this is from that same book, Circle of Mysteries. You store up blood. It is no longer red. Your blood is black and thick. It is the density of life. It is wise blood. You make no more sons and daughters. You make wisdom of your womb. Go inside. Exist where beginnings and endings are one. Stare down your fear. Look it in the eyes until it falls on its knees. Eat your fear. Digest it. Take it into your blood. It makes you strong. Your body is the world. Everything fears death. Matter groans, waiting. You are what is most aware. You are my body. You are my beloved one. Feel the fear. Turn it to your blood. Pour it out. Black, thick, beautiful. The blood of an old woman. The blood of one who no longer fears death. Of one who stands on the edge of the world and sings. I sing in you. I am your black blood. I am your richness. I am what is left when fear dissolves. I am forever. And just to close, if there's anything that I feel like is a remedy for shame, it is the soul. It is the part of us that goes on beyond death. It isn't assuming we should be that all the time in our awareness. We shouldn't fear death. We shouldn't be, in any experiences that are unpleasant, but actually allowing ourselves to be in those experiences in the name of the soul, in the name of what will inevitably live on, that goes, far beyond what any of us could ever know, right? In the name of that great mystery. So in the name of that great mystery, it is such a pleasure and joy for me today, to be able to show up and receive you. And thank you, Amina, and thank you, Alex. And, we'll offer ways that you can connect with both of them as healers. And thank you, B and Savannah, for being of service on our Friday classes. We do them every week. we have 3 a month actually, and the fourth one, sometimes there's 4, and sometimes I do the fourth one as a free one, like I did today. But generally, we don't do a free one every month. We have a free fire ceremony every month. Usually, then sometimes there's a guest speaker or a guest teacher in the fourth one. So, but we have 3 every month, and we have our monthly Yoni Oracle class, and you can join us for $44 a month if you're new, and just for the first month. And yeah, we're just like so grateful to be able to be together. I am really truly just, the moments where I'm in my lowest of lows that most people don't see, these moments are the ones that help support me in those moments, um, and I don't take that lightly, and I don't take that for granted, at least not for too long on any given day. So thank you, for showing up for your own body, for your own blood, and in all the ways that you do that no one else ever even sees or notices or appreciates. We appreciate you and appreciate those ways that you show up, especially when it's hard. So let us know. If you need anything, if you have questions, you can always email us. And if anyone wants to unmute and share anything, you're welcome to.
Hey.
Hi. Actually, one second. I'm going to turn the recording on, off really quick.